What's happening, everybody? Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com, coming to you on Thursday, September 9th at about 2 p.m. Eastern. Let's look back at a little week one before we get into some week two games. Game balls, Bryce Young, Alabama quarterback, outstanding debut. It looks like a wash, rinse, repeat deal in terms of Alabama being the team to beat in the country. Just complete pimp slap of Miami early and often. One of my few winners last week, the first half, and I actually snuck in a little first quarter action on Bama as well. And I think I'll be betting, maybe not with and I don't even know if we'll have a first half line with the Mercer game, FBS versus FCS games. The line usually comes out Thursday night or Friday morning, and might not even get team totals or first quarter, first half. Hope we do, but it might be such an outrageous number that I don't play Alabama first half. But when Alabama is playing SEC teams this year, yeah, I think the first half bets are going to be gold like they were last year when they went 11-2 against the spread in the first half. The only non-covers against Georgia and Ole Miss. Game ball, Will Levis, the Kentucky quarterback, transfer from Penn State. Man, I didn't realize he had that big of an arm. I know it was ULM, a winless team last year that's garbage in the bottom five in the country, right there with Bowling Green and Akron and who else is in my bottom five? Bowling Green, Akron. Dang, I had some other team. Anyway, New Mexico State. But anywho, Will Levis has got a big arm, and Wan'Dale Robinson looked really good, the Nebraska transfer, and they already had a good receiver in Josh Ali. We'll talk more Cats as it pertains to their game against Missouri here in a minute. How about Bailey Zappe, the Western Kentucky quarterback, the transfer from Houston Baptist? Tyson Helton went and got his OC from Houston Baptist and three of his favorite receivers. Zappe had thrown for 10,004 passing yards and 78 touchdowns in 4 years at Houston Baptist. His debut for the Hilltoppers, that is. 28 of 35, 424 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And what an under-the-radar gem of a game we have Saturday. Western Kentucky at Army. Army trashed Georgia State last week. Granted, Georgia State was out without its stud receiver, Sam Pinckney. I think he's got COVID or safety protocol. I think he's out again this week. But, Western Kentucky, so they are air raid offense with this new OC. And Zappe's got the big arm, and they're playing Army, which wants to do what Army does, maybe throw it twice a game, if that. I mean, it is vintage Loyola Marymount versus Princeton circa early 90s college basketball. That's what this matchup is all about. Now, I believe it's an 11:30 a.m. kick, and heads up, we've got 3 pre-noon Eastern televised games kicking off before noon this Saturday, week 2. Other game balls, I won't go into all their stats. Jack Cohn, Matt Corral, Kenneth Walker, the Wake Forest transfer, giving Sparty a little life. 264 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns on just 23 carries as Sparty pimp slaps Northwestern in Evanston. Before we get to the picks, let me give you my power rankings, just like the top 10. Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Oklahoma 4, A&M 5, Clemson 6, Florida 7, Texas 8. Very impressed with Sark. That's a really good Ragin' Cajun team that's coached really well. That I'm not going to say they pimp slapped them. 38-18 is kind of a misleading final. I mean, UL Lafayette was not behind very much in total yards, first downs, etc. They just had their long sustained drives got field goals instead of touchdowns, and that's not going to do it at Texas. 9 Cincy, 10 Iowa State. I will note that I've got Kentucky at 21 which was a big jump for them. Boston College 23, and Tulane, the Willie Fritzes, at 25. All right, let's get into some picks. I like my side squad that I cheat on my Gators with occasionally because they always cover for me. You know I'm talking about Chris Creighton's Eastern Michigan Eagles, who are nearly automatic as a road underdog, 19-2 against the spread with 9 outright wins in their last 21 such spots. They are plus 26.5 at Camp Randall, where Wisconsin lost a 16-10 decision to Penn State last week. So EMU has won outright in 3 straight road games against Big Ten foes. Granted, these foes aren't on Wisconsin's level, but nonetheless, the Eagles won at Illinois in 2019, at Purdue on a walk-off field goal in 2018, and at Rutgers in 2017. Wisconsin is limped to a 5-12 spread record in its last 17 games as a home favorite. And check this out. Wisconsin wins 45-7 at Illinois and 49-11 at the Big House in the first 2 weeks of last year. And Graham Mertz throws 7 touchdown passes without an interception. The Badgers have played 6 games since then. They are 2-4 in those 6 games. And Mertz has a 2-7 TD-INT ratio, which is obviously atrocious. The 4 games they've lost in the last 6, they've scored 30 combined points, which is an average of 7.5 points per game. They might be missing their starting offensive tackle, Logan Brown. They might be missing their leading rusher from last year, Jalen Berger. Berger did not play last week. He and Brown are listed questionable, and they will not be without their star linebacker, Leo Chenal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. 46 tackles, 7 QB hurries, 6 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 1 pick. Last year, he's got COVID. He missed the game against Penn State, and he is out again this week. EMU plus 26.5. I snagged UAB plus 27 on Sunday night. Right now it's plus 24 or 24.5. I like the Blazers as long as you're catching 24. Reports out of Athens Wednesday afternoon that JT Daniels has missed some practice time this week. He's got an oblique issue. He took a bunch of shots last week in that defensive struggle with Clemson, a 10-3 UGA win in Charlotte. He is questionable. And like I said all summer, man, I was not drinking the JT Daniels Kool-Aid. But in fairness to him, and it's why I liked Clemson last week and took that L, he's missing a ton of his personnel, and I don't know how much or any of it's going to be back this week. Darnell Washington, the tight end, is listed questionable, and Dominic Blaylock are listed questionable. They might be ready. I tend to think they might not, but even if they are, I doubt they'll be 100%. We know Pickens is out until November if he's able to come back. Eric Gilbert still has not rejoined the team from his personal leave from like at least 3 weeks ago, right? Kyrus Jackson, leading receiving yards last year, did not take a snap at wide receiver last week, but yet Kirby played him on special teams. Kind of weird. Is he going to be lined up at receiver this week? I don't know. Daniels needs him. UAB is not a joke. They beat Jack State, a FCS team, right there in the Talladega area, 31-0 last Wednesday. So they've got extra rest and preparation. They were chilling in the AC Saturday night, watching their next foe, Georgia, slug it out with Clemson Saturday night in Charlotte. UAB has gone to the Conference USA title game 3 years in a row. They won it last year. They won it in 2018 when they went 11-3. They're well coached. They've got a veteran quarterback in Tyler Johnston, and they've got a really solid defense, not based on giving a bagel to Jack State and the Gamecocks. That's not why I'm saying they've got a good defense. I'm saying it because their last 3 defenses have given up an average of 17 points per game, 21.6 point per blah! Sorry, PPG points per game, and 21.4 points per game. And they brought 9 starters back from that unit last year. UAB plus 24 or 24.5. There's another play for me. Sticking with the underdog theme and another double-digit dog. Let's go Buffalo, the Bulls. I don't know anything about Wagner from FCS, but I know Buffalo beat them 69-7 last week and was ahead 59-0 at the end of 3 quarters. Kyle Van Treese, the veteran QB for the Bulls, 16 to 5 TDI and T ratio in 16 starts since 2019. And the Bulls, in their last 5 as double-digit underdogs, 4-1 against the spread. The lone non-cover, they were actually winning the game late second quarter at Penn State. And Penn State got some crazy, big play scores in the second half and somehow covered 45-13 win as a 31-point favorite. That was week 2 of 2019. But again, Buffalo 4-1 against the spread their last 5 as double-digit dogs and coulda, woulda, shoulda covered that one non-cover against PSU. As for Scott Frost, so they played an FCS team as well last week. They beat Fordham 52-7. So that was a cover, not only as a double-digit favorite, but as a home favorite. Still, even with that cover, Nebraska as home favorites on Scott Frost's watch. They're 4-8 against the spread. And as a double-digit favorite during Scott Frost's tenure, 3-4 against the spread. Let's go Buffalo if your number's 13.5 by the half point to the key number of 14. I was impressed with Will Levis, as I mentioned, 367 yards, 4 touchdowns. The one pick that hit his receiver in the hand should not have been a pick. Wan'Dale Robinson, 5 receptions, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. It looks like Kentucky's passing game might have some pop and a little life for the first time in a long time. And they are -5 or 5.5 against Missouri. I like the Cats, the home favorite. They're 6-4 against the spread in their last 10 such spots, whereas Missouri 5-11 against the spread in its last 16 as a road underdog. And Mizzou beats Central Michigan 34-24 at home last week, but CMU, the Chippewas, had 27-22 edge in first downs and a 475-468 advantage in total offense. Tyler Batty ran for more than 200 yards for the Tigers. And granted, it was ULM, but UK's defense limited a Rich Rodriguez offense that usually puts up good rushing stats, limited them to 17 rushing yards on 43 attempts. Smaller play, but I like South Carolina -2 at ECU. Kevin Harris should be back. Zeb Nolan, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions last week. South Carolina should be superior on the O-line and D-line. Those 2 units and the running backs are the strength of Shane Beamer's squad. And let's also get a little bit of Rutgers. -2 at the Cuse. The Shianos, if you will, win 61-14 at home over Temple last week. And on the road last year, they went 3-1 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. The only one they didn't win outright, but still easily covered, was at Ohio State, 49-27 as 38-point dogs. And Syracuse wins 29-9 at Ohio last week. But Ohio at halftime had a 171-139 advantage in total yards. And they had a more than a 7-minute advantage in time of possession, yet trailed 12-6. The Bobcats ended up settling for short field goals of 22, 30, and 25 yards and couldn't finish some drives. So a little bit of a misleading final. I mean, credit to my guy Dino and the Orange for getting the dub, but I like RU this week. I'm still mulling maybe Air Force. Around 6 at Navy. Man, I used to love betting on the Ken Nui Matalolos, but it's kind of gone south on him here the last couple of years, and they were awful last week. They got mauled by the Thundering Herd of Marshall. All right, man, that's 15 minutes, so let's shut it down. Good luck with your week 2 wagers. If you tail me, good luck to both of us. Whatever the case, again, best of luck. Kill them. Not a bunch of great games. I feel like half the top 25 is playing FCS opponents, but they all pay the same. Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com. Over and out.